to the show, Exjaw. This is a show about our days in the military school. Today we have two guests and I have my wonderful co-host. My name is Kayode Atobatele. I am AFMS 82/248. I am an ex-junior airman of the Air Force Military School in Jos. And today with me, I have an ex-junior airwoman in person of...
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back here. My name is Abisola Olabode. An ex-junior airwoman of the Air Force Girls Military School in Jos. My NAF number is 87/0060. Nice to be back again.
Awesome. Now, today we have two wonderful guests with us. And as we always do in the military, we always start with a senior person. Today we have a senior, we always bring on a junior airwoman, an ex-junior airwoman, and an ex-junior airman. Today, the senior person is the ex-junior airwoman. So I will allow Liz to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. My name is Elizabeth Taylor. I'm an ex-junior airwoman, ex-provost marshal, NAF number 87/0071.
Amazing.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. So you were the first set, correct?
Yes, I was.
Awesome. And then the last but not the least, just the most junior number is the ex-junior airman. I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. My name is Kevin Korgba. My NAF number is 88/933. And I was Green Squad engineers here.
Amazing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's interesting. Any other person watching will be like 87, 88. That sounds like just one number. Yeah. As far as the military is concerned, your senior is your senior anywhere, even in heaven.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So welcome. Thank you for coming on the show. And I will start by asking a question I always ask everybody. Liz, let me start with you. You first set Air Force Girls Military School, a military school for girls never heard of in the whole of Africa, right? You heard about it, you packed your belongings, and you came to Jos. How old were you when you came?
I was 11.
Why did you make the choice to come to a girls' military school?
Interestingly, I did not make the choice. The choice was made for me. My father came and said, okay, you are going to Air Force Girls Military School. Make sure you pass the exam. And I was shipped. I didn't know what was going on. I just found myself when my suitcase was packed, found myself being taken to the Air Force base in Exjam and pushed on to C-130.
What's a C-130?
The plane, Charlie 130, the cargo plane. Imagine an 11-year-old child being pushed in with other kids, and you don't know where you're going to. No one would answer, and you couldn't even ask any question at that time. You couldn't ask what's going on. Nowadays, kids can ask what's going on. Where are we going to? Where are we? What's happening, Mom? What's happening? I'm not going until you tell me. We didn't have that luxury. We landed in Jos. It was hazy. First time in Jos. It was like a foreign. It was. I might as well have been landed or plopped on Mars, Then identify your luggage. Luggage was pushed into a lorry, aka Gongoro. AKA Gongoro. And then the Gongoro would not move until the bus came. Unfortunately, the bus never came. If my memory serves me well, the bus never came. So they're like, why waiting for bus? Enter the Gongoro. So we're not even in the school yet, and we entered the Gongoro, and the Gongoro took us then to Rayfield, the boys' school, because that's where they put us up for our exams. And we had the exams. I think we spent, I'm not sure whether it's a night or 2 nights. Miserable. I was away from home. No one had explained to me. I'm just coming to this strange place to write this strange test. Do some jumping jacks and all kinds of crazy stuff, and then no one was answering. Look at me, you're laughing. No one was answering any questions. We had questions, and fortunately for me, at that point, I actually had a couple of people on that same trip that we all grew up together in primary school. Jennifer Ume, Choma Omeriwa, Uzo Okeje. So at least I wasn't completely out of my element. I remember we were all scandalized that we had to sleep in boys' beds, you know? I'm like, oh my God. Oga Kayode, you're laughing. We're scandalized. Oh my God. Oh, they said this is boys' beds. Say it's boys' beds. I'm not sleeping in boys' beds. I'm not sleeping in boys' beds. Oh, it has bed bugs. I remember all of those conversations. It was quite interesting, you know. And 48 hours, we were back at the airport. In the bus, we went with the bus this time, and it took us back to Lagos. And they said, "Oh, you passed, so you're going back to the school." And I'm like, "Going back to the school? What? I thought that was once in a lifetime." I never knew that would be the seminal journey for my life. That would be a pillar that would mark my entire life. I never knew. Yeah. So that's how the journey started.
Amazing. That's so interesting. Kevin, what about you? You are basically Air Force Military School at the time you decided to go there was only 8 years old, you know. So it's not like it was very well. Did you know about the school before you took the exam, or what?
Well, yes, I did, because I'd growing up as a kid, I was fascinated by soldiers. So I was one of those kids that, you know, I made sure my dad got me every toy soldier type of game. So I was already fascinated with military.
Okay.
And I had seen a couple of Independence Day parades where Air Force Military School boys were marching, and that was it. I told my dad, forget it, I'm not going anywhere else. This is where I need to go to.
All right.
So the exams came, you know, excited. So of course, common entrance exams, you take common entrance and you put first choice, second choice, whatever secondary schools you apply to.
Yeah.
I applied to FMS, of course, my first choice. This was, I was due to go in 1986, so I should have been 86 set.
Oh, wow.
And then when the results came out, the list for the interviews, my dad came home with the newspaper and I was all excited. I ran through it and my name wasn't there. I remember I went to my room and I cried the whole day. The whole day I cried. I couldn't believe that, you know, my dream. And so I said, okay, I'll go to Baptist High School then. No worries. So we signed up for that. And I think it was a day or so before the FMS interview. Mm-hmm. My dad was friends with the then commandant, Shakwa, I think it was.
Yeah.
So Shakwa called my dad and said, is Kevin looking forward to coming for the interview? My dad was like, what interview? Kevin, his name was not on the list. So he said, I have the list here. Kevin's name is on it. Huh. He said, no, the list that came out in the newspaper wasn't, you know, my name wasn't on it. Besides, it's too late. He's traveled somewhere. I think I'd gone to Benue State to stay with my cousins before, you know, the term began and all. It was too late at the time. Of course, there was no mobile phones or anything at that time. Yeah. It was, you know, so he said he should try and get me in. He should try and get me back. He said it's too late. And we'd already signed up for Baptist High School anyway. So I went to Baptist High School, 1986. Oh. So that's how I lost out on that. So I finished Form 1, Baptist High School, going on to Form 2, of course, feeling happy that I'm now becoming a senior. Yeah. And then I was at home one day, and my dad calls me and says, do you still want to go to Air Force? I said, what do you mean? He was like, well, you need to give me an answer in the next 20 minutes because of what happened. Now, apparently, this is when we found out what had happened. Mm-hmm. My name had been taken out and replaced with some senior officers' pick.
Okay.
So Sapra was so upset. When the next set came in, he put my name in and said, you know, to make up for that.
Okay.
So I never attended an interview.
Wow.
So just stick with me on this. So I had no clue what was going on. I just said, I told my dad, okay, yes. He said, but you know that this means you have to start again from Form 1. I said, yes, I'm willing to do that. So that's how I got put on. And then I appeared, I remember it was January the 4th, 1988. and we arrived there, and the shock that hit me, because that was my very first time actually even going to FMS. Because I didn't go for the interview, I didn't experience what everybody else did. You know, the 1-2 weeks, whatever, you know, everything. I didn't experience that. So I had no clue what was going on. You know, so my mom couldn't cross the gate. Oh yeah, put your suitcase on your head and take it. Oh my God, what's going on? And then of course there was the line of barbers that were sitting down waiting to remove all your hair. Right, so they checked everything. Have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got that? Then they just said to my mom, okay, madam, these are property now. Oh yeah, say your buys. And that's how, you know, go and sit down. And then they took off all my hair. And I'm thinking, what in God's name is going on here? What have I let myself into? Like, this is not what it looked like in the movies, you know? And that's how my journey started. That's how my FMS journey started.
Amazing. I still want to come back to you, Kevin, you know, but let me go back to Liz for a minute. And Kevin, I actually want you to start thinking of an answer to this. I want you to think of, I want an explanation into your emotions and how it changed, because somewhere in between there, right, it sounds to me like you must have come to the conclusion that it was a mistake that you actually left Baptist High School
at the gate. At the gate. But I'll tell you about no problem.
And then I also want to hear from you if you made attempts to remedy the mistake of coming. But Liz, let's come back to you. First day in AFMS, you land at the gate, right? You've done the interview, you've been scandalized, right? So one already understands your state of mind. You were what we call the Ajebota girls, right? You're like, oh my goodness. And sitting, when did it dawn on you that that was the least of your problems when you got to AFGMS?
The first morning. So first of all, yes, we had all the experience because I came with cornflakes, biscuits, baked beans. They took everything at the gates. And I'm like, I'll starve. They didn't care. Anyways, but I wasn't too worried about that. Now, anyone who knows me knows my family, knows we like to sleep. Yeah? And so we went to bed. I have no problem going to bed on time. I do it. It's my life. The very next day, I felt like the hordes, it was like the hordes of, I'm sure Abisola will agree with me. It was like the hordes of hell were let loose. You can imagine 9-year-old, 10-year-old children, and people were banging on your door. Wake up, wake up. Jesus is Lord. I didn't know, you know, these cartoon characters, Tom and Jerry, when Jerry plays a loud sound and Tom gets startled, and he being startled, he levitates off the ground like 6 feet. That was how I was. What's going on? And we literally were like cattle. We're like cattle. And then you expect us to have a shower in cold.
Cold Joss.
Cold Joss.
Yep.
They were not sensitive to the fact that we were children. They were insensitive to the fact that we were women. We were little girls. You understand? We had to bath in cold water, and then we had to go to parade. What is all this? And many of us had senior brothers and senior sisters. Now, this wasn't playing out the way secondary school, we had been told secondary school would play out. You know, there's a way seniors walk, you know, people in secondary school, the way we walk, you know, and I had practiced my secondary school walk. There's a way you drag your leg and I had practiced it. And now you're telling me I need to jog from point A to point B. Why?
You need to do what?
Jog from point A to point B.
So you guys were not allowed to walk. You had to be running one point to the other?
Jog from point A to point B. And the thing is that no one really had the patience to interpret the lingo. And for us, we did not have seniors to look at. So it was literally being thrown in the deep end. And then it was almost as if we were in this strange science experiment, because all of us, that first set, don't forget, it was unique for the first set because we didn't have anybody else, and we're all in one building. So for all you know, there's probably going to be some alien abduction, some experimentation, you know. I remember, and then we had to cut our hair. I remember there was a drama with someone who was like, you have to call my father before I can cut my hair. I'm not going to cut my hair. It was crazy. It was crazy. I think that's why I really loved Opportunity. When you relive it, until these stories are told, right? You can never believe it. And I think the unique stories are the stories of the first set on both sides, because we were the guinea pigs. We're the guinea pigs. We're the guinea pigs. Yeah. And then we had military other rank and officers who were speaking a language, and that the meaning was largely lost in translation.
Do you remember the wordings of your letter, the one that basically was sent to you offering you admission?
Funny enough, I don't remember it. I know my parents read it, and everybody was so happy and everything. And Kevin, I'm wondering, why are they happy?
Kevin, do you by any chance remember the wordings of that offer letter?
I don't remember, but I think I remember there was something in there about the 5%. Was it a 5 or 1% casualty rate or something along those lines that we had to sign up to? Or I you know, and of course the parents signed everything, but I don't remember the words though. But
all right. So
I don't think that was in our letter.
Okay.
But you can imagine they told us face to face.
So was there anything, do you remember anything by any chance, because this was in my own letter, that you were being enrolled in the Nigerian Air Force as a junior airman?
Yes.
Do you remember, was that, I don't know what your letters.
Yes.
They told you face to face. All right.
Yes. And yes, and they repeated it as well when we got there.
Having that conversation with 11-year-old girls, 10-year-old girls, telling them that if war breaks out, they are the next line of defense for the nation.
All right. So, well, the only reason why I'm bringing that out is just so that, you know, because as we're recounting these experiences, I think it's important to understand that even though it's referred to as a secondary school, that the letters that we signed up, or that our guardians or parents signed up for, basically was an offer to be enlisted in the Nigerian Air Force as junior airmen. That I know for the military school for boys. I don't know how the offer was given to the girls, but we were soldiers in training that happened to have academics added to it.
Yes.
It's not exactly the same for everybody. But this is interesting. And Kevin, I was saying that we're going to come back to you and find out. So Liz's experience, it looks like it was from day one that she realized she had signed up for, or rather she didn't sign up, but I don't know. Liz, I actually want to hear if you did anything to try and take yourself out of that situation. Since you didn't sign up for it, they put you on a plane, they flew you to take an exam, they made you sleep on beds that boys had slept on. Tells me you were a princess where you were coming from. You went back, told them about the scandal, they said you're going back to that school. Now, you spent 5 years. Why did you not run away?
What can I say? The fear of my father was the beginning of knowledge. Yeah.
Was your dad a soldier?
Yes. Yes.
Should have thrown that in there. Should have thrown that in there for context.
How can you have that conversation with him? I don't want again.
You don't want again, which means you wanted before. Kevin, what about you? You came from Hillcrest, the place where
not Hillcrest, Baptist High School.
Baptist High School. You know, they were on the same level with Hillcrest. They used to speak with an American accent.
Yes,
more American than the average Nigerian. Then they took you to this other part of the world where basically they shave your hair before they start to talk to you. You don't even have a name. They call you other names that are not very
Printable, yes.
printable, right? And you have to answer to that. At what point in time did it dawn on you, this is a mistake, I have to rectify it? And what did you do?
At the gate, like I said, at the gate, I knew I'd made a mistake because.
What did you do to try and correct it? Did you say, Mom?
Well, there was nothing I could do at that. My mom had gone. By this time, she had, she just dropped me off and said bye, and she jumped in the car and left. Right. And like you say, coming from Baptist High School, at the time when I was in Baptist High School, a lot of our teachers were American, Yibos here and there. It was really nice. They taught you how to write in cursive, and sing all these nice kumbaya type songs. And at that time, 10, 11 years old, you're thinking, okay, this is secondary school, and you thought there was a little bit of difficulty. Of course, there was punishments, and there were seniors, and there was all of this. But going to AFMS, made me realize that I had come from paradise to hell. Like, it was literally that. And within the week, and of course, we came a week before senior students, and it was supposed to be the whole acclimatization. It was better than Liz being the first set. With us, I think by now, because it was the 8th set, they had already they started teaching us about the lingo, so that we would be able to, because the senior students were not going to teach you, so you had to be ready. So what Liz was saying about good morning sir, morning sir, was we were told all of that. And I remember this. I was walking past Green Squadron with a couple of my classmates, and the then dining hall prefect, I forget what his name is. He was Purple Squadron anyway. So he was walking past, and of course we had been told that anywhere you see a senior, you must greet them, morning sir. And it was in the evening, so we shouted, morning sir. He didn't even look at us, and he just said it's not morning, and he kept going. And I thought, why are these people confusing us? They've told us to say this. We've said that somebody else is getting upset at us. Anyway, we carried on with that, right? But that was not the event that really sort of solidified in my mind that this was an issue. Was the day everybody arrived, the seniors arrived. I was in Green Squadron. And the Green Squadron provost, I don't know if I can mention his name, but I'll leave it at that. Green Squadron provost called the Form 1 students, fall in, all Form 1 students. So all of us came, of course, we were standing there. And, he started giving a speech, most of which I can't remember. But what I do remember is he said, now when I say 1, jump up, don't come down till I say 2. So, of course, I mean, we were 11, 12, but we knew that gravity, we've never seen anything that went up and didn't come down, right? So he said 1. So, of course, some of us were giggling amongst ourselves, right? So 1, and then, of course, everybody goes up and comes down. And of course, he's a provost. So he whipped out his black provost belt. Oh my God. It was like when you watch National Geographic and then maybe you see like chickens, and then a wolf jumps into the chicken pen and everything scatters. We were everywhere, people on the floor, because the belt was coming, whipping everybody, and we were rolling and falling. He now said, fall in. Everybody came back. He now said, now when I say 1, jump up, don't come down till I say 2. And I kid you not, some people didn't come down. It was at that point, and let me explain this. It was at that point that I knew that there's almost nothing that is impossible with the right sort of tuning. Because when he said 1, some people jumped up and were on other people's shoulders. Some people were holding on to, in the squadrons, there was some mini trees. Some people were on the wall. It was, and he started laughing. And that was my introduction into Air Force Military School. And I knew at that point that I was in trouble, in all sorts of trouble that I had no clue about. Oh my God.
All right. Thank you very much. So we'll take a very quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll allow Bisola to actually ask you a couple of questions. Stay tuned. Your show at Exjaw is coming back shortly.